Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. Well, since you're here, welcome to my channel and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be reading January 6th of the Bible in 1 year. But before we do that, I wanted to start with going back to what we talked about yesterday because my camera died and I didn't have time to reflect on what we read together. So something that I wanted to reflect on was Matthew chapter 5 verse number 21, and it says, "You have heard that our ancestors were told, you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you are in danger of being brought before the court. And if you curse someone, you are in danger of the fires of hell." And what I wanted to talk about was that this is something that I really struggle with because I used to have a really, really bad temper. And to say that I was angry a lot is an understatement. It doesn't happen as much anymore, and I wouldn't say that I'm as angry of a person. But when I read scriptures like that, like, it concerns me. Not that it concerns me, but, well, I guess it does. It kind of concerns me because I don't want to make God angry, right? Like, I don't want to make Jesus angry, you know. I don't want to go against what they said, but sometimes I still have trouble with, you know, holding back my anger. And I do think that I am better at it these days, but I think that when we live in a world that is so filled with a bunch of craziness, sometimes it can just be a little bit harder to take that step back and, you know, even to say, like, don't call somebody an idiot. I mean, that is very hard and almost foreign, I know, for me and probably for a lot of people. But on that same note, I think that it's important to thank God that He has changed my personality and He has changed my overall demeanor whenever it comes to dealing with stressful situations and people that might make me angry that before I might have called an idiot, or probably 10 times worse, you know. So let me know what y'all think about that verse in the comments below, because I'm really curious to hear other people's opinions about it. With that being said, today we are going to be reading from Genesis 13 verse 5 through chapter 15 verse 21. And it looks like it's going to be a rather long story, so I hope you got your snacks. I hope everybody, you know, came prepared. And let's just get into it. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, had also become very wealthy with flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and many tents. But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with all their flocks and herds living so close together. So disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. Finally, Abram said to Lot, "Let's not allow this conflict to come between us or our herdsmen. After all, we are close relatives. The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we will separate. If you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land on the right. If you prefer the land on the right, then I'll go to the left." Lot took a long look at the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley in the direction of Zoar. The whole area was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord or the beautiful land of Egypt. This is before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot chose for himself the whole Jordan Valley to the east of them. He went there with his flocks and servants and parted company with his uncle Abram. So Abram settled in the land of Canaan, and Lot moved his tents to a place near Sodom and settled among the cities of the plain. Wait, is that Sodom and Gomorrah? I know I just broke character. I know. I'm sorry. Listen. Listen. Is that Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah, it is. Look. But the people of this area were extremely wicked and constantly sinned against the Lord. Wait, is Sodom and Gomorrah people or... Okay, I don't know. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look, as far as you can see in every direction, north and south, east and west, I am giving you all this land as far as you can see, to you and your descendants, as a permanent possession. And I will give you so many descendants that, like the dust of the earth, they cannot be counted. Go and walk through the land in every direction, for I am giving it to you." So Abram moved his camp to Hebron and settled near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. There he built another altar to the Lord. Abram builds a lot of altars. Like, a lot. I mean, like, good for him, you know what I mean? But, like, also, just seems like a lot of altars. I don't have one, you know? Like, I feel like maybe I should have one. And, like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, I'm being genuine. About this time, war broke out in the region. Amraphel of Babylonia, King Earwicker of Elzar, King Kedora of Elam, and King Tidal of Goam fought against King Bera of Sodom, King Bersha of Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah. I told you it was Sodom and Gomorrah. King Shinab of Admah, King Shaveda of Zeboim, and the King of Bela, also called Zor. So this part is kind of a lot, and I'm gonna go ahead and let it play just because, you know, maybe you like to hear people read aloud to you. I'm not sure, but I will put a timestamp. But also, just basically like what's happening here, if you're like getting lost and like all these crazy names and everything else, you can look at this chart here. Can you see it? No? Okay, I'll put a picture of it right here. Basically, what happened was there was group one with like this guy, this king guy that starts with a K, so we're gonna call him King K, right? He's over here chilling, and then all these other people over here, Sodom and Gomorrah, they're chilling. And of course he has allies, but like we're not gonna talk about them because like really they're not important. All they talk about is King K. So King K's over here, Sodom and Gomorrah's over here. He basically beats them all up. He's like, no, da-da-da. He wins the war. Yay! But then, whenever he was on his way home, he kidnapped Lot, which is Abram's nephew. Well, we all know that's not going to work for him because Abram is like blessed by God or whatever. So Abram's like, oh, no, you can't have my nephew Lot. Like, I'm coming for you, period. And so Abram takes his army and he goes after the King K and all his men or whatever. And of course he wins because he's blessed by God. And that's when God says, or the one guy was like, oh, you're blessed by God, here, you can have my stuff. And Abram's like, I don't want your stuff, like, you can have it back, if that makes sense. So anyways, just because like it's a lot, I don't know, I got lost in it, and I read it, so I don't know. The second group of kings joined forces in the Siddim Valley, that is, the Valley of the Dead Sea. For 12 years they had been subject to King Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. 1 year later, Kedorlaomer and his allies arrived and defeated the Rephites at Ashtaroth Harnaim, the Zuzites at Ham, the Emites of Shavah-Kirathim, and the Horites at Mount Seir, as far as El Paran at the edge of the wilderness. Real quick, the most frustrating thing, probably, not ever. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna complain. I'm not even gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna do it. All I am gonna say though is if you knew how many times I had to cut out me stuttering through these names, you would not believe me. I don't know why they couldn't just have like easier names, but like whatever, go off. So for 12 years they had been subject to King Kedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. 1 year later, we're gonna call him K. 1 year later, K and his allies arrived and defeated the Rephites at Asher, the Zuzites at Ham, the Emites at Shav, and the Horites at Mount Seir, as far as El Paran at the edge of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to Moshpit, now called Kadesh, and conquered all the territory of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites living in Hazazon. Then the rebel kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela, also called Zor, prepared for battle in the Valley of the Dead Sea. They fought against King K, King T, King A of Babylonia, and King A, 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the Valley of the Dead Sea was filled with tar pits, and as the army of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some fell into the tar pits, with the rest escaped into the mountains. The victorious invaders then plundered Sodom and Gomorrah and headed for home, taking with them all the spoils of war and the food supplies. They also captured Lot, Abram's nephew who lived in Sodom, and carried off everything he owned. Oh no, they didn't!
Oh! Oh no, she didn't! Oh yes, she did! No, she didn't! Yes, she did! No, she didn't! Yes, she did, Peter! I just saw it! Alright, take it easy.
What did he have to do with it? Why did they capture him? What did he do? No, because you want to know something that's not a good idea, because I don't know if y'all remember, but God told Abram, he said, look, I'm going to protect you and all your ancestors, so But also, aren't they all kind of ancestors of Abram? I'm confused. I'm a little confused, I'm not gonna lie. They're all ancestors of Noah. No. Abram is the ancestor of the tar guy. Right? Yeah. Okay, Abram's ancestors are somebody different. Anyways, we'll continue. I'll shut up. They also captured Lot, Abram's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and carried off everything he owned. But one of Lot's men escaped and reported everything to Abram the Hebrew, who was living near the oak grove belonging to Mamre the Amorite. Mamre and his relatives, Eshcol and Anar, were Abram's allies. When Abram heard that his nephew Lot had been captured, he mobilized the 318 trained men who had been born into his household. Then he pursued Kay's army until he caught up with them at Dan. Then he divided his men and attacked during the night. Kay's army fled, but Abram chased them as far as Haboth, north of Damascus. Abram recovered all the goods that had been taken, and he brought back his nephew Lot with his possessions, and all the women and other captives. After Abram returned from his victory over Kay and all his allies, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh. And Malachi, the king of Salem, and a priest of God Most High, brought Abram some bread and wine. Malachi blessed Abram with this blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has defeated your enemies for you. Then Abram gave Malachi a tenth of all the goods he had recovered. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give back my people who were captured, but you may keep for yourself all the goods you have recovered." Abram replied to the king of Sodom, "I solemnly swear to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal thong from what belongs to you. Otherwise you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich. I will accept only what my young warriors have already eaten, and I request that you give a fair share of the goods to my allies, Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre." Sometime later, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son? Since you give me no children, Eliezer of Damascus, a servant of my household, will inherit all my wealth. You give me no descendants of my own, so one of my servants will be my heir." That's crazy, right? Like, if God came to you in a dream, like, could you just imagine God being like, "Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine, like, I'm gonna take care of you," and then you respond back to God, "How do you not want me to worry? Like, where's my son at?" You know what I mean? But also, I guess they just had, like, that relationship, you know what I mean? Like, that's cool, I guess. Then the Lord said to him, "No, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own who will be your heir." Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, "Look up into the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have." And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. Then the Lord told him, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you his land as your possession." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that I will actually possess it?" The Lord told him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." So Abram presented all these to him and killed them. Then he cut each animal down the middle and laid the halves side by side. He did not, however, cut the birds in half. Some vultures swooped down to eat the carcasses, but Abram chased them away.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep.
Go to sleep.
But a terrifying darkness came down over him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land, where they will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age. After 4 generations your descendants will return here to this land, for the sins of the Amorites do not yet warrant their destruction." After the sun went down and darkness fell, Abram saw a smoking firepot and a flaming torch pass between the halves of the carcass. So the Lord made a covenant with Abram that day and said, "I have given this land to your descendants, all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River, the land now occupied by the Kenites, Kenizzites, the Kadamites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." I don't know why, but I feel like I got a lot out of that this time. There was so much there. I guess just because, like, the stuff about, like, the faith, like, he had to have faith in God, which is something that I've been working on, and then him talking back to God, which actually, I know I said I thought that was crazy, but last year, I told y'all I kind of, like, went into, like, a period where I didn't talk to God as much. When I finally did open up and talk back to him, like, I told him, like, I was angry at him, which is kind of crazy if you think about, like, praying and, like, crying and telling God, like, that you're angry about him. So I guess I kind of do get it. And honestly, it made, I feel like, our relationship better, because before, like when I used to read the Bible every day and stuff like that, like I told you, like some of this stuff, like it sketches me out because like I don't want to make God angry, don't want to disappoint him, but at the same time, you know, I'm thankful and I'm glad because he did change my life for the better. But I feel like after that conversation and after we went through, like, not we, I guess, but my relationship with God, you know, changed so much throughout this year that I feel more open, if that makes sense. Like, I don't feel like I'm like trying to be somebody that I think that God wants me to be. I feel like I trust God to point me in the right direction and to give me, like, you know, discernment and peace and things like that, if that makes sense. So it's way less of like an act or whatever, you know, it's way more of like when I talk to him now, it seems more like I'm being more honest and truthful. And I do really appreciate that. It is true, you know, even though it did suck, like everything that I went through, I'm thankful that it brought me to this place with God. So anyways, now we are on Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 through 48. But I say, here we go, these verses kill me, bro. Okay. You have heard the commandment that says you must not commit adultery, but I say anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So if your eye, even your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your hand, even your stronger hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away, as it is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. You've heard the law that says a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a written notice of divorce. But I say that a man who divorces his wife, unless she has been unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman also commits adultery. You have also heard that our ancestors were told, you must not break your vows. You must carry out the vows you make to the Lord. But I say, do not make any vows. Do not say, by heaven, because heaven is God's throne. And do not say, by the earth, because the earth is his footstool. And do not say, by Jerusalem, for Jerusalem is the city of the great king. Do not even say, by my head, for you can't turn one hair white or black. Just say a simple, yes I will, or no I won't. Anything beyond this is from the evil one. You have heard the law that says the punishment must match the injury, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say, do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, offer the other cheek also. If you are sued in court and your shirt is taken from you, give your coat too. If a soldier demands you that you carry his gear for a mile, carry it 2 miles. Give it to those who ask, and don't turn away from those who want to borrow. You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But you are to be perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And here's a question that I want to ask if anybody makes it this far in the video. If you made it this far, congratulations, welcome, how are you doing? No, but I'm assuming this is long, so my question is, which one of those things do you struggle with most, right? Would it be lust? Would it be lying? Would it be getting revenge on people? You know, being petty, I think would even almost be categorized in that. Would it be loving your neighbor and your enemy? I think if I had to pick one, I think that it would be, I think probably like the loving your neighbor one, loving your enemy even as you love your neighbor. Because I think that's so hard because, you know, it's easy to fake it, right? Like it's easy to just like go up there and like talk to them, you know what I mean? Like you would talk to like a regular person. It's easy to fake it. Obviously, like, you know what I mean? We can all do that. We can all like do that. But the problem isn't like whenever you can fake it. The problem is like loving them in your heart, you know what I mean? Like actually having compassion for that person, actually talking to them and having real compassion and real love for that person. So that's just me. Okay. Oh, I love these. Okay. Oh, this one tells you specifics. Okay. All right. Say less. Hi, Lindsay. That's editing. How you doing? Okay, this is Psalm chapter 6, verse 1 through 10. This is for the choir director, a psalm of David to be accompanied by an 8-stringed instrument. Oh Lord, don't rebuke me. I want to sing these so bad. Like, if I was like really like about it, and just like a proper ass YouTuber. Like if I was like Casey Neistat, I would figure out what the psalm is, find the music, and then talk over it, if that makes sense. So it's like on beat, because like that would be everything. So Psalm chapter 6 verse 1 through 10. O Lord, don't rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your rage. Have compassion on me, Lord, for I am weak. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. I am sick at heart. How long, O Lord, until you restore me? Return, O Lord, and rescue me. Save me because of your unfailing love. For the dead do not remember you. Who can praise you from the grave? I am worn out from my sobbing. All night I flood my bed with weeping, drenching it with my tears. My vision is blurred by grief. My eyes are worn out because of all my enemies. Go away, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord will answer my prayer. May all my enemies be disgraced and terrified. May they suddenly turn back in shame. And now we are on Proverbs chapter 1, verse 29 through 33. For they hated knowledge and chose not to fear the Lord. They rejected my advice and paid no attention when I corrected them. Therefore, they must eat the bitter fruit of living their own way, choking on their own schemes. For simpletons turn away from me to death. Fools are destroyed by their own complacency, but all who listen to me will live in peace, untroubled by fear of harm. And that's it for January 6th. I guess now the next one will be January 7th. Yeah, so I'm gonna end this video now. I love you. Jesus loves you. What kind of outro is that? Alright, so I'm just gonna end this now. No, I am gonna end this though because I don't have anything else to say. I feel like that gave me a lot to think about. I hope it gave you a lot to think about. Maybe, with that being said, maybe we'll talk more about, you know, the Psalm and the Proverbs tomorrow. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know anything that I said or talked about. I would really actually appreciate opinions, like no cap. Because that's what I want this channel to be. That's why I made this channel a separate channel. That's why I'm doing this, because I want other people's opinions and their feedback about it, because I'm not sure, you know what I mean? Whether you're like a pastor, like if you're a whole pastor, or you probably think I'm crazy, but it's fine. Or if you're like just reading through the Bible like me, either way, you know what I mean? I would super appreciate your opinion and your feedback. So with that being said, I love you. Jesus loves you. Bye.